Welcome back, everybody, to the Perakee podcast. My name is Brad Mulhall, and today with me I have Georgina Gibson. She's an author and also known as the East Coast Mystic. How you doing today?
Great. Thank you for
Great.
having me.
All the way from New Brunswick.
Yes.
So right across the country for me, opposite sides, big time difference.
I know. I remember when I moved away and said goodbye to you.
That's great. Yeah, I've known Georgina for how many years now? At least almost 20 or something like that. Yeah, and she moved. How long ago did you move away? 10 years ago from
15 years ago.
15 years ago. Holy cow. Yeah, she used to have a mystical shop in Mission, BC that we used to go to quite a bit and do full moon ceremonies. And I think my mom and sisters used to do Reiki classes and psychic development classes with you. I just came to the full moons, but that was a big part of my spiritual awakening, was seeing magic happen in real time, manifestations and power of positive thinking and all those sorts of things.
Yes, and it's always the unexpected that wakens us up.
That's right. And you were the first one to tell me that I was a double simian. That's what's led to me discovering that I'm a Perakee, and this is the whole thing behind the whole podcast.
Yeah, actually, I think that was pretty powerful for you to learn about.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I can kind of just never really, like, I knew you taught me about it, I read about it, and then just life goes on and I forgot all about it. And then I've kind of reconnected with it in the last couple of years, I would say.
And you know what's interesting about that is our left hand is the hand that we're born with. So all of the lines on our hand on the left is what we're destined to do. And so that line exists on your left hand, right? Yeah. And then the right hand is the things that we manifest and do in our life. So when you take a look at both hands together, the right hand always changes, except for the lines of destiny.
Crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. And what's neat is, just like you have your lines on there, there's also other symbols that are also powerful. Some people have a cross, or they have the mystic star, or the M. You know, a lot of people have the M on their hand.
I've heard about that one, yeah.
Yeah. So it is quite neat to take a look at that destined power, because that is one aspect of your unique ability that we all have.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, so let's get down to telling people about yourself. You're an author, and where do you want to start, like with your journey?
Yeah, I am an author. I love writing, and I feel that my writing is actually an aspect of me that goes into a channel. And so I started my spiritual journey quite young. And the first experiences I had were spirits coming to me. And as a young child, I was in a very difficult position. And I remember one of the first spirits that came to me was a woman, and she told me, "You're going to be all right." And I honestly thought I was in a place where, you know, my life was at stake. And then a year later, I started having these experiences where I would wake up in a field miles away from where I lived.
Wow.
And this is in Estevan, Saskatchewan. I'm a prairie girl. I'm a pure Canadian, but I've lived everywhere in Canada. Yeah. So anyway, I would wake up, and this is like kindergarten, okay? So very young. So I would wake up, and this happened many times, in this field where there's like no grass or anything. It's like dry desert-like earth. And when I would wake up, I would look at the horizon and I would see these shining beings, like a whole row of them. There were small ones, medium ones, tall ones, and it looked like they were all joining hands and looking at me. And it was almost like I could hear them talking to me, but it was more like a telepathic thing. And I couldn't really understand what they were saying, but I knew they could see me. And I would stay with them and watch them until they would back away and disappear. And this happened many times. And every time I would turn away and look, my bike would be behind me, but I never remembered riding my bike there. And the last time it happened, I was driving back home when the sun's setting. And I remember this car slowly driving up to me and looking at me and says, "You shouldn't be riding your bike out this far by yourself. Little girls like you get kidnapped." And then we moved and it never happened again.
Wow.
So that was one of the things that completely awakened me, because, you know, I was kindergarten and it happened many times. After that, I experienced dreams. And I always had guidance. And I think it was because I was living in a place that was, you know, a scary position. But all of these things happened through my life. People would show up. You know, I had a Native person show up in my life and out of the blue and heal me with their bear claw, heal a scar. And then later I found out, after I published my first book, that I was Native. My whole father's side of the family found me. They've been looking for me since 1970, 79. I
Oh,
had no
wow.
clue, no clue.
That's crazy.
But for me, I got into the magic, and I love working with spirit, because to me, spirit kept me safe. The real world didn't. So I learned how to communicate with spirit at a very early age.
So you started
And that's what I do.
channeling when you were young?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly spirit would come to me quite often. And for instance, I used to live in a house in Estevan, and there was an old man that lived in the basement, and I visited him every day after school. I'd go down and visit him and talk. And one day he walked out of the basement door, and then I realized there was no door there, that I've been talking to this man that was, you know, I just thought I knew him. So I had spirit around me all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've had similar things. Like I used to have around the same age as 5, a praying mantis figure come through the wall, and it was like super traumatizing. I'd be like catatonic, and it would be coming closer to me, and then I would just black out. That happened dozens of times, but you don't even know what to say about it. It's like I don't know. It was really intense, especially when you're only 5. And then it's funny though that you said you had the lady too, because all through my life, I think until in my 20s, just whenever you're a kid and still sleeping by yourself, right? So a lady, a female, would come and sit on my bed and rub my back,
Wow.
like very comforting, right? And I'd look over my shoulder, and there's nobody there, right? Like, holy cow.
You know, that could be an ancestor,
Yeah.
right? Because we, you know, the thing is what I believe is, about your mantis guy, your praying mantis. I believe that spirits that linger on the earth can and look like many different things. I mean, if you take a look at the Japanese anime and
Yeah.
some of the different figures they have in some of their anime, where there's all these beings and blimps and, you know, weird things flying around, it is like that.
Yeah, I've just gotten into anime. My daughter Emma, she was this last winter. It was rainy, stormy
So
season.
spirit has many forms.
Yeah, I want you to sit down and watch these, and they're quite good. Studio Ghibli films or whatever. She got me to watch 4 or 5 of those this winter. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, they're really neat and
Yeah,
spirited too, if you take a look at it that way. So I feel that that's what you are experiencing, is, you know, that one of those earthbound energies in a formation. I mean,
just
I've
trying to.
seen spirits where they attach to people and they almost look like they have, you know, those toilet plungers.
Yeah.
Their face is a toilet plunger, and then they have cords. And those are spirits that will attach to people. Or if we have cords to others, that's a spirit that needs to be cut.
Okay. I've talked to quite a few people, like more. I think it was a couple different native fellows that I'd worked with in. Was this Northern Ontario or Northern Manitoba? And they have often seen, because we would sit around and not too many miners open up about this sort of thing, but it was a good group of guys, and we were talking about spiritual things, and they would see a long-nosed guy, and they had all seen it. They'd be like, yeah, you seen that guy too? You seen that guy too? Like a really, I think that almost had something, wasn't that kind of like a plague mask or something like that, which is maybe kind of
Yeah,
prophetic because it was all in 2019. They were talking about that they'd been seeing that guy.
yeah, exactly. How weird is that?
Yeah, it's strange.
So yes, earth beings have many forms. I mean, and even underworld spirits, they have the weirdest. So many people say they have experiences of half people and half animal. You know, the beginning of human is very animalistic, and that comes through in our being, whether it's spiritual or even physical characteristics sometimes.
Yeah, it's like I've read, I don't know where I've read, it's kind of like that, like they say in energy vortexes and places like that Skinwalker Ranch, you'll see Sasquatch, you'll see aliens, you'll see this, you'll see that, because it's just whatever your brain is interpreting it as. It's a strange enigma in the energy or spirits, and different people will see different things. That's just what
Or
they're
they
ready to
exist.
see or not see. Or yeah,
And you know, we create many beings,
yeah.
right?
If you're manifesting, that's the way you're manifesting or interpreting that energy, I guess.
We've created gods, we've created Ouija, you know, we create hate. Hate is actually a spirit. Hunger is actually a spirit.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of people that always have this craving of food, it's because this spirit of hunger knows that it can feed through them. And it actually attaches to us early spring, right before spring comes. People will start to get cravings of different things. And our cravings are actually signs of different elements that we need to connect to.
Oh, what are pickles and cheese?
Really? Is that what you crave?
Yeah,
Salty is
yeah,
earth.
pickles and cheese. Yeah.
That's awesome. The cheese is water element. So when you're
Oh, okay.
craving cheese, you're releasing or connecting to something from the past.
Oh, okay. I do. Nobody in my house likes it. I like the really old cheddar from Ireland, England, and Scotland, the stinky old cheese, and it's perfect because nobody else will touch it.
Well, you lived by a cheese farm too.
Pardon me?
You lived right by a cheese farm in Mission,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wendy's place. That was a cheese farm.
Yeah. And then my wife here, she worked at a cheese farm here on Vancouver Island in Parksville.
Oh my goodness. See?
Yeah.
You're eating cheese on your way to your path, right? Your
There you
destiny. The
go.
cheese was
The,
leading you.
the path of enlightenment is through cheese. Thank the Lord.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so I took my path professionally when I was like 21. We opened our first store. It was my husband and I. We had our first credit cards and racked them. And we wanted to be entrepreneurs. And since then, that's what I've done. And I love it. I like to help people. So I do readings. I do a lot of classes. I teach on a variety of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I have lots of books out there and keep planning on doing that. But I
Well,
pretty much live in a boony land, 200 people in my village, and I love it.
yeah, that's perfect. I would like to retire to one of these little islands off here, but I don't think the wife and kids would. Like, as I work in camp, so I can live anywhere. I wouldn't mind living on one of these little remote ones, but I think they like
Oh,
town too much, a lot more than I do. They
I
need people.
dreamt
I
of this
don't need
place.
people.
5 years before we found it, I dreamt of this place. So when you dream of the place, how do you leave it? It's like you were told, this is a place, Brett's like, we should just sell it and, go to Ireland. I'm like, I dreamt of it. Like,
Yeah,
hello.
that's crazy. Yeah, same with the house I have now.
Buy me a place in Ireland too. Let's have two places.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have a place in Ireland. I'd just love to go to Ireland because that's a big part of my heritage, or pretty much all my heritage.
That's
Very
awesome. Yeah,
mystical, spiritual place. What's the
definitely.
Ireland means the oldest island.
Yeah.
There's lots of cool history there with like the lost tribes of Israel.
Magic. Yes.
lost tribes of Israel ending up there. That's where the blue-eyed people are descendants of Egyptians, and this, and the Druids, of course. And yeah,
I
I've
have a little Irish.
It's funny because I really like conspiracies and aliens and this and that. And it was 2-3 years ago, right when I first started listening to podcasts. I'm like, I'm sick of aliens, sick of Area 51, this, that. I'm going to get into Irish history. And I'm researching Irish history and listening to podcasts on Irish history. We listen to all the old tales, and it's like, this sounds like aliens coming down and gods and stuff, talking with people coming down in craft and teaching. You're like, what the hell is going on? Everywhere I turn, it's still aliens.
Oh, I totally believe that if you have Irish blood, if you have any Irish blood, you do have demigod blood. I do believe that. And I believe that there's a nature spirit power within our bloodline.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you're so drawn to the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I definitely like being outside as opposed to inside, and always swimming, always playing, biking, hiking, at the ocean, in the rainforest, at the river. Even, I wear my dogs out. They're only 3-4 years old, and my wife has to be like, no, you can't take them anymore today. They can barely walk anymore.
That's cool. Good for you.
So do you want to tell people the names of your books and what they're about?
Okay, so some of the names. Let's see. So I have, my first book was Divine Mastery. And I actually created that because it was my own personal transformation. I created inner child healing, and it got myself out of, the trauma mode, right? And how I connected to my own spirit. And then the second book I wrote is Spirit Guide. And I actually wrote that for myself. It's a full book that you just open it up and you get a message. Actually, maybe I'll get one. I'm going to send Brett to get me one so I can show that to you.
So you just randomly open to any page?
Yeah, it's a stickmancy. So, you can actually get a message from any book you have. You just open it up, look at the first sentence you see, and that represents a message. So that is my spirit guide. Let's see what we get. This is a message for you and everyone watching. Let's see what we get.
I hope
Trust
it's about
and become one. It's not, but it's about Earth.
What did it say?
Trust and become one with the earth. Become one with your true nature. Allow it to emerge. Go for a walk in nature until you see the beauty in it. How did nature connect with you? By a bird or squirrel or sounds of the breeze?
Well, that's what we were just talking about, walking and hiking and everything.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
So we're awakened to that experience. That means that your connection when you're outside is a part of your divine connection. Yeah,
like I'm always puttering in the yard. Sometimes I think I make excuses to have fires out back. Oh, I better clean out this area, and then I just sit out back there by the fire till the wee hours, and just sit out there by myself with my dogs even.
And it's good because it clears your mind,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, even the colors of the sky puts us in a different state of being. And that's why if you look at like the old traditional tarot decks, like Rider-Waite, they all have a different background. So blue skies actually align us to our higher self.
Okay.
So if it's my personal rule, if it's a beautiful blue sky day, I go outside because I want to hike, right? Like I'll take that next step up, please.
Yeah.
Where if it's like raining and gray, then they're cleansing.
Okay.
So, nature does affect us in every way, and I love it. It's magical. Which speaks about my next book, The Sacred Circle. And The Sacred Circle actually is a training manual, and it's just like the full moon ceremony that you did, and it's training people how to do the full moon, how to connect with the energies. It's kind of our Coventry book. So everyone in our Coventry has taken that training, and then in the back you can learn how to be a member. And that Sacred Circle we've had formed for many years. and we just
Yeah.
we practice our full moons every month. That's like always happens, you know. And it's amazing because we believe in the power that each person holds. When we come together and with full moon or ceremony, or even when people do sharing groups and they put together an intention about it, whatever we hold inside is that channel and power. And whatever you want, there is others in this universe that want it too. And so our desires is so sacred and so magical for our manifestation because we are that channel of those good things into the universe. Even when we release and sacrifice things, we're getting rid of things because it's bothering us, but other people have those struggles too. So our magic, we believe that our magic and our connection has to do with changing the consciousness of the earth.
Okay.
Which is fun.
Yeah. Raising the higher vibration up to the fifth dimension.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, and I know that that power of manifestation works. I mean, you guys, there was that one time you guys helped me get a job. I was trying to really get onto this mine in my younger days of my mining career, and no, son, we're full. Give us a call next year in 6 months or this or that, and then we did a full moon ceremony at your guys' house, and we put it out there, and they sure as shit they phoned me back the next day. Oh, this guy's wife left him. He went home. Get pack your bags. We need you here tomorrow. And I was like, what the hell? That works. Like it worked within
And
one day.
how intuitive were you
Yeah.
to go there even though they didn't need it, right? You
Yeah.
changed that path.
Yeah.
So you were ahead of the game there.
I guess. Yeah. That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
You could have showed up after the guy left, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I love to pay attention to the divine timing of things. You know, sometimes we learn that we're a little behind and it's like, oh, this is harder than I thought to manifest. And other times we're ahead of it.
Well, that's one thing I've slowly learned, not the quickest learner. There's lots of times situations will happen and you're all pissed off and you think it didn't work out, that you got the bum end of the deal. And then you come around the corner and you're like, thank God that happened, because this way better thing couldn't have happened if that shitty turn didn't happen. And now you see why the thing happened. So it's just one thing about getting older and wiser is just to relax and go with the flow and
let it come. Deal
get
with
out of
it.
your own way and just go with it. It's going to be okay. Usually everything works out pretty good if you're not getting too bent out of shape over the little things.
And you know what you described is similar to fire magic.
Okay, interesting.
Because when we get into that stage where we're like, pissed at something, right? We will, once we've learned how to hone our skills, we will take that energy and focus on our direct outcome, what we want. Because we learned that those powers that we feel that arise in us is actually a sacred beast. It's like our shadow side, right? And it wants to do something. And we need to honor our instincts.
Yeah.
And, sometimes our instincts are connected to distractions, right? But when we connect our instincts to our higher self and the things that we want, and we get that focus where all we want to do is, retire, and that's all I'm focusing on, the guidance starts to kick in on the next step to take. Instead of feeding you the fears, the more we're distracted, the more fear will take place.
Yeah, I 100% understand that and really resonate with you saying that fire thing. That is 100% mining, underground mining. It's hard, it's dirty, and most of the time when things are going wrong, it's pure rage and fire. That's how this isn't working. Well, wow, and you just get out of it. They say we live off
destruction.
Yeah, and they say there's like a T-shirt or a joke or on lots of the mining pages that say miners survive on caffeine, nicotine, and hate because it's that
so
fire energy to get the job done, right? Like you have to be a beast to get it done.
And think about it. When we walk, our energy, right? biosphere goes 4 feet under. And that's why a lot of people can't handle like busy places like the malls and stuff.
Yeah, I
So
don't
when
like
you're
that.
underground, you guys are underground. There is so much energy going into the earth from the energies above. Everything that needs to get grounded.
Yeah,
And I believe that the good stuff that does become grounded are the things that create, diamonds in the rough. That iron, the amethyst.
oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, you can look at it as science too, right? But every area has a different consciousness, and every area has a different type of energy and manifestation, and the minerals all match that.
Yeah, well, and science is only as far as we understand it, as like Tesla, them saying, until we start exploring the part that we can't see and the other dimensions, like we got a long ways to go. So just on this 3-dimensional plane, that's what we're observing and understand on an energetic field. Maybe if you took some mushrooms, you could see something different going on there with the energies and how they're working to form those minerals and rocks and
For sure, they're
crystals.
like full portals.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely, I don't know if it could just be as simple as pressures and stuff like that, but there is definitely, you can really sense energetic fields down there. And Vancouver Island being like a fault riddled island, we have I think 200 minor earthquakes a day. I felt, everybody always
Crazy.
asks, did you feel that? Did you feel that? You don't feel anything underground because it's always kind of, we're opening it up and it's always kind of moving around. But I have had was it 6 months ago? I think so. 6 months ago or so, I was in camp waiting to go underground. It was just about dinner time, and I was just standing there having a cigarette, and just out of nowhere, I got dizzy and almost like I was just going to throw up, like right there. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I felt fine. I'm like, oh, is it something in the cigarette? Put it out, and I don't know. And then 2 minutes later, somebody's like, oh yeah, did you hear there was an earthquake? So 2 miles or not in the next town over, Gold River or something like that. I'm like, oh, that I must have felt that energetic
Wow.
release. Yeah.
Probably went right through you.
Yeah.
Which could have also been, like an earth dragon.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
definitely believe in earth dragons.
yeah, like you say, like the anime or stuff like that, the different energies. Yeah, just because of our perception of them, the they have different interpretations like that. That's a
We look
cool way
at
of
earth
looking.
like it's this hard, solid thing, but it's made up of the same things that we are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's not solid like that.
No,
It
we have
is
no
full of
idea.
spirit.
We have
And
no idea what's down there.
every time you hammer something and rock explodes, more spirit is made. Every single stone has a spirit. And old natives believed that the spirits of stones could travel. And if you take a look at certain states, even Maine, which is close to New Brunswick, you can see these giant boulders. It's like they arrived from nowhere. And I believe that stones travel. No, people are gonna be like, you're crazy. You know what? Whatever. I do believe it.
Was that the never-ending story? Those
Who
big
could have
stone
had
guys?
that influence? But that's what a lot of native traditions believe, is that the stones can move. They have power. And that's why they were medicine for us. Medicine was the herbs and the stones and the gods and the spirit and nature. And so, a lot of people look at witchcraft like it is kind of a modern day thing, but it's not, because true magic is all connected to that power.
Yeah, for sure. One rock I could particularly remember is the Hatzic Rock, just outside of Mission.
Yes.
They were doing a building development, and my friend's house, like that Sunnyside Drive, was supposed to keep carrying along, and his house ended up being the last one because they found that rock. We used to play on it all the time. We had no idea what it was, but that rock, like geologists, everybody say, is 100% out of place, shouldn't be there. And the native lore is that was 4 chiefs or 3 chiefs, and they were bad.
Cast into stone.
They were bad and they were cast into stone, and it just happens to be sitting there, and it's a very strange rock. If anybody's seen it, or if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. It's pretty neat.
Well, you know, I do believe that, you know, in the old days, people could had the power to do that. I mean, we hear about, you know, Medusa, and we hear about all these famous things, but, you know, these powers, every power that has existed still exists today. You know, and I believe that we do all hold that power of some kind of God or spirit or power. I mean, we do. But we live in a world where we've been locked up. You know, we're kept in a state of survival so that we can't tend to our passions that will give us the guidance and the freedom to just live and be. And that's the kind of world that I believe in. I believe that people should do what they want, and they should be able to get out of that survival state. You know, I don't think people should work 8 hours a day. They should work 6 hours a day, you know? So
yeah, we're like in a hypnotic slavery, and not living in connection with the earth, with the old ways. It's like they say people used to be able to speak to animals and stuff like that. I fully think that was true if you were open to it or connected with it, and living in a more symbiotic relationship with animals every day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah. And there's always something, you know, we should always connect to something that we love, whether it's, you know, writing a poem, doing a painting, doing something spiritual. It doesn't matter if it's spiritual or not, but it has to be you.
mm-hmm.
And you will automatically awaken to the powers that are going to help you with your desires and your focus and what you want.
Yeah, like you're drawing in what you need.
Yeah.
Teaching yourself your own lessons. That's what my buddy went on the last interview I just said when he went on his ayahuasca journey, and he thought it was gonna be this big profound thing. He's like, oh, I already know all this. I just gotta start applying it. He's like, this is ridiculous.
Exactly.
There's no deep, profound thing. He's like, I already know all the stuff I gotta do to make myself happier and be better and all that.
Yeah. So, you know, it's choice by choice. And even the shitty choices we make will also help manifest something better, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I just think that, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I just think that it's important for people to just connect to themselves and pay attention to the things that they truly want. People shouldn't be ashamed of what they want. And, you know, desire is a scary word for some people because it takes them out of that box. And there are so many traditions in this world where, you know, being a copycat or repetitive, right? Like, you know, there's some cultures where everything should be similar, or, you know, it's scary if you're out of that. And, you know, the people that enjoy something, whether it's, you know, animals or something they like to create or do, they get awakened. It's as simple as that.
Getting in flow states and stuff like that people get into by playing sports or music or stuff like that. That's magic in itself right there, for sure. One other thing I
and I'm addicted to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, what if that's a fun way to live and an authentic way to live. Another topic I wanted to cover, I remember when I used to talk to you, you're into remote viewing.
Yes.
Yeah, do you still do that or still practice that?
Yeah,
that's always a fascinating subject for me.
You know, I am a I'm a visualizer, and I actually did a test for a university. They contacted me because they wanted to do a psychic test and prove that psychic abilities don't exist. So I agreed to do this test, and I did it in my mission place. So it was a long test. It was like 2 hours. I was so nervous before. And when I opened up the test, it was all questions about the students. Like, it had nothing to do with, you know, what is remote viewing? How does it work? It was like, which student has a frog on their desk? Which student is getting married? And it was all these personal questions. And I thought, well, that is odd, but I did them. And anyway, it ended up, I got my results back, and all of my abilities are good, but my strongest ability was the ability to see into the future, remote viewing. And what I love about remote viewing is it has not just a direct link to your clairvoyance, but it has a direct link to what you want in your future.
Okay.
And so, you know, vision boards, knowing what you want your house to look like, or where you're going to live, or even how you want to feel in 20 years, you know, anything that is ahead of you is connected to that. So what I found is when I started doing readings for people, I started to see their future. When I started honing my skills and I'm looking at someone, I'll be able to see their entire year ahead.
Okay.
And it's like I learned how to communicate with spirit to show me things. And so when we are, you know, just doing our thing, and all of a sudden we get a great idea, and you pay attention to that idea, but you get a future vision of it. Like the painting is done, but you got the idea to paint a bear, and you saw the vision. That's remote viewing.
Okay.
So the more we pay attention to synchronicities, to signs, to what, when you're walking in the forest and you hear trees whistling and or rustling, and you look and it's only 2 trees rustling and none of them are. When you pay attention to those things, your skills will improve.
Okay. Yeah, I see lots of synchronicities. Like one that happens to me all the time is I'll think I'll see somebody I haven't seen in 10 years. Like I'll be like, there's Georgina up there. And I'll start coming alongside you in the car. Oh, that's not her. And then the next block, there you are.
Exactly.
That
That's
happens to me.
remote viewing.
Yeah, like I just see it, or I'll think of a person and then there they are. And then of course the precognitive dreaming. Like I have a whole different life in my dreams where I can fly and have superpowers. I go, if you've ever seen Rick and Morty, my dreams look a lot like that, going through portals, like psychedelic looking portals and vortexes. And it's crazy. And those can start like just when I'm settling down. I haven't even closed my eyes yet.
It's like you experience the wormhole first, right?
Yeah, like
and then once you get through it, the whole world opens up, and then you can grab. It's like each one of those is like a realm of Akashic records, right?
Yeah.
Unlimited. And so some of the things that it does help with our dreams, because our remote viewing and our vision does open up and get stronger with our sleep. Sleep is super important. So if people have trouble sleeping, they're going to have trouble putting together the messages that Spirit's bringing them. But anything that pops into your mind is a direct message. It's just we get our messages through our psychic pathways. Any message from Spirit is going to come through a psychic pathway.
Oh, mine are blown wide open, probably because the magic mushrooms used to grow all around my house when I was a kid. So I started nibbling on those when I was
exactly
12 or 13 years old. So I think
because it puts you into a higher state, right? And into a place of consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, I believe when people take magic mushrooms, that they are actually connecting to that whole state of being. It's like astral projection.
Yeah. Yeah, Terence McKenna did seem to, if you read and listen to him, he's a great man. He seemed to think that those were the way. He had been through the hate and Ashbury scene, everybody higher consciousness through LSD. That's not the way. He went to India for quite a few years with all the gurus and meditating. Wasn't quite finding it. And then this is like back in the 60s or 70s. They were going to do an ayahuasca journey before this was popular, right? They had heard about DMT and they were on their way en route to go to this secret village and this sacred shaman. And one guy got horribly ill and they had to settle down and camp in a farmer's field for a week. And then they started finding all these mushrooms and they were eating like he calls the heroic doses. And I guess they found the keys to the universe in that farmer's field.
Exactly. Unplanned, right?
And I guess you can't take too much. Everything else, there's a point that you take too much, it can kill you, right?
Yeah,
not
of
with
course.
those. You can just keep going higher and higher and higher. And there's
Until you're just like waiting for it to be over.
yeah.
And even though you're going like this, rainbows are everywhere.
Yeah, you can't close your eyes, you can't escape it. Yeah, I mostly just microdose now for mental
Journeying is
well-being.
amazing.
Pardon me?
Yeah. I mean, I do tons of drum making and
Oh yeah.
journeying, and I teach on shaman, the shaman rattles, and teach people how to do that. I love traveling. I believe
Yeah.
in different realms. And that was
Yeah.
one of the things that I enjoyed is I ask the universe about everything I want to know. I
Yeah.
will even ask the universe, should I drive into the city today? You know, that's a 45-minute drive. Of course, I'm going to ask the universe if I should go today. Do you know what I mean? Because if I get yes, then I know I get to seek an experience. So to me as a mystic, everything has some kind of meaning and connection. And it's all like a medicine to just help me stay above, you know, anything that's trying to get in my way.
Right. Yeah. There's through lots of stuff I've studied. I really like quantum physics and all those things and the power of your mind. So especially like the world can be anything you want it to be. The world is magic, and you can make it anything you want to be. And then most of the traditions and stuff that in which you're practicing are age old, and they're like the old and the pagan ways and the Wiccan ways stuff. So they most likely are the ways that work. And I think most of the people that run the world and the secret societies and stuff like that, they seem to practice the same thing. They just don't admit it. They keep it a
Exactly.
secret.
Everybody makes a birthday wish.
Yeah.
Right. And whatever we're plugged into at that time of the wish is the manifesting energy around it, you know. And that's why the chakra system is also something that has become a new age thing. Because if you take a look at all of our 7 chakras, each one of them has a mind of its own. So
Okay,
our
yeah.
root chakra, right? For example, our root chakra is our first auric body. And that's that 2-inch glow around our being. Well, that chakra is the consciousness that is letting me know whether I am safe in the world or not. It is my direct relationship to my safety and my security. So a lot of people who have a chakra that is unbalanced are people that are stuck in security mode, or they're addicted to food or something. They're feeding something to feel that grounding energy.
Okay, yeah, past traumas or whatever.
There's a leak, right? There's a
Okay.
hole, and that hole is leaking into our atmosphere, the world we live in too.
Yeah, it's influencing your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting when we study ourselves. Many people can start their path to enlightenment by paying attention to those auric bodies, those 7 chakras. And then once you have those 7 chakras, go past that, because we have, you know, 12 to 14 light bodies, depending on what you believe in. And I've used that to connect. So if I'm doing a reading for someone or an energy healing for someone, and say it's a relationship thing, I know how far away from their being I need to connect to receive that information if I'm communicating with their higher self. But if I'm communicating with the spirits around them, it's you know, it's a little stronger, it's a little funner, I think. Because you kind of get like the spirit's interpretation of what they're experiencing with them. But when you listen to the higher self, you're more communicating with them on breaking the blocks that they're feeling and reconnecting them to their higher self. So when we channel energies, you know, those are just 2 aspects of spirit.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've always been. I wouldn't say skeptical. I guess scared would be the word. Apprehensive of channeling myself. I'm pretty sure I would be good at doing it. Most of the psychic stuff comes quite easily to me, but I don't ever trust what's on that other side that you're connecting or communicating with. And I know you can cast a circle and then make yourself, there's safe ways to do it, but I guess I'm just a big chicken.
Your spirit connection comes through your spiritual experiences, right? So for me, when I'm doing work for myself, I communicate with the spirits that I can call upon that I trust. I don't communicate with any strangers. But when I do a reading for someone, as soon as they come into my shop, because I have a store, as soon as they walk into my store, I know it's not just them. I can feel the presence of the spirit that's around them, and the only time there's negative energies or spirits are when we are in a lower state of being. Right. So you're not going to get guidance if you're doing tarot readings in a bitchy mood. You're not.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense, because lots of the time, like, I know I'm quite sensitive
We have
to
to be in a higher state.
Yeah, if you're
We have to be in a
vibrating higher, you're
natural
only
or
gonna deal
higher
with them.
state to actually receive information.
Yeah, because like you say, I can understand that. Like, I don't like big crowds and stuff
Yeah.
either, or big events, because there's some people you come across, like you're walking a mall or something, and it's like, it's either I don't know if it's the person or something that's with them, and I'm like, whoa, from like 20, I could feel that from 20 something feet away. That's not a good person, or there's something really wrong going on there. Like, it's almost like it slaps you right in the face. You're just like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
creeps me
Yeah.
right out.
Or
That's why I don't
right
like
away
crowds.
whether you like someone or not. It's like, nope. And the more you honor that, the
Yeah.
stronger it becomes.
Yeah.
So then you're like, all of a sudden you'll take that gift a little further, and you'll think about the things that you want to work on, or what you're focusing. And then as you're thinking about that, pay attention to what comes upon you. Is it a feeling? Well,
Okay.
maybe that feeling that you understood in the desire of what you want, there's the power. You connected to it. Now it's
Okay.
in play. And whatever we want goes into it. Whenever we go into a place of intention, what happens is it connects to the universal laws, the universal consciousness, and it actually connects to the law of function. So everything that we decide we want or don't want connects to the law of function. And the universal law of function is anything that it's manifesting, it manifests in its perfection.
Okay.
So even if we have fear and doubt, it doesn't matter. The universal law and the universal energy of what you want, there's already a consciousness of what you want in that state of being, in that universal law. It's already connected.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool way to look at it. Did you do much like chakra work like that? Like, I was into I was into Kundalini yoga, which was pretty intense. I was doing meditations, and I came across a Kundalini meditation one day, and I was lying in my bed doing it, and I thought I was coming right off of the bed. I swore to God I was levitating, and I'm like, what is this Kundalini meditation visualization? So then I look up what's Kundalini yoga, and there just so happened to be a lady like right down the street from me that is one of the only people like in Vancouver Island, BC, or whatever, was doing Kundalini, and I got into it for a while, and then I fell out of it, and then now she's moved away to Quadra Island, and it kind of all fell apart with the COVID.
So for me, yeah, well, there are hand symbols that you can do, like mudras that will give you the power of the different chakras that you need, and calls upon that power. But yeah, I love doing the chakra work. For me, I have the chakra singing bowls. I love that.
Yeah,
so I play that, and I do that for some healing sessions. But you can even eat foods.
Oh, okay.
There's direct foods, like you eat the colors of the rainbow, feed into those chakras.
Are those mudras, like you're saying, is that similar to like when you're doing Reiki? There's little symbols you do, energetic symbols you do when people do Reiki. Is that the same sort of thing?
Similar. So
Okay.
Mudras. Okay, so you've seen people do this, right?
Yep.
Their thumb and pointer together, right?
Yeah.
Well, when we go and hold our space in that place, that will actually energize our root chakra. And it
Okay.
actually affects the base of our spine.
Okay.
And all we
That's
have to
why,
do is hold that.
yeah, that's like a traditional meditation posture, right? Like you see Buddhist monks or somebody doing.
Yeah. And then there's another one where, you know, it's kind of like the egg. You put your hands together and then you have your thumbs together, but up this way. And that represents your sacral chakra.
Okay.
So you would
I'm
hold that right below your belly button, right? And that would energize that. And there's also mantras, you know, that people will say, right? And then this actually, and actually the one I just showed you is going to help you with the power of creativity. So if you have a
okay.
creative block and it's like, I don't know what I want to do, you could just sit like that in that position
Okay.
for 3 minutes minimum, and you will directly connect to the flow of creativity. This one, you've seen the prayer one. Well, we hold it this way in front of, right above our belly button, right?
Mm-hmm.
That represents willpower. So whenever we need more strength and willpower to focus on the things we want, hold your hands like this, like it's almost in prayer, but pointing out.
Yeah,
And
a lot of this is exactly like Kundalini yoga. Like that's
yeah,
exactly, and the mantras and the visualizations, like it's really intense. Like
yeah,
you come out of there, with your chakras like beaming. Like I remember every time driving out of there, it's yeah, your aura is like 10 times the size
it's
when
like
you.
a feeling of freedom. Do you
Yeah,
realize that? Like
yeah.
you actually feel free.
I've ever told you my wife got me a Reiki session, my first one, like I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. And
Cool.
that was intense. There the lady kept going, oh, she goes, you can really suck down this energy. She goes, she's like, it's flowing through you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And we're going along, and then all of a sudden it felt like everything pulled inside of me, like the whole, like intensely, and then it went boom and exploded out. And even the lady like jumped back and was like, holy cow, what the hell was that? Like she's like, I've never seen that before, I've never felt that before. But and when it exploded out, it felt like I went like out as thin as like the entire universe or something like that. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so you opened that right up, right? And you are probably a channel, you know, we're channel of life force. So if your
Yeah.
energy is like, yes, I'm feeding right now, your energy probably took it on, where you're stronger energy than maybe she was, right? And you took it
Okay.
on to the point where you received the healing and energy that you needed. And that's why it broke through. And you know,
Okay.
we can do energy healing for ourselves. And you know, as soon as you go like this a few times
Oh
and you
yeah.
feel that magnetic energy,
Yeah.
well, wherever that magnetic pole is, that is the auric body that's in ruling you. So that would represent the consciousness you're connected to,
Right.
which changes every day, every minute, every hour.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's going all up and all over. It's funny you said we were talking about the fire energy, and that's really prevalent in my life with mining and everything. And when I went to first started going to the Kundalini yoga, she says the same thing too. She's like, "You're pure fire." She's like, "No drinking, no hot food." No this. I'm like, well, what the hell do you want me to do? I love drinking booze and I love spicy food. She's like, you got too much fire, you need to tone that down, you need to harness it, and stuff like that. But it's funny because that just keeps coming up again, right?
Which means your passions should be in play.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then when
well,
you are working on your passions, all of a sudden you're in that channel.
yeah.
See,
And that,
whatever we're reading, if we're reading something and all of a sudden, you know, you're locked into what you're reading, that is a divine channel. Your higher self is in play, is alive right there.
Yeah, well, that in the legend of Perakee, and lots of, even not just legend of Perakee, but lots of double simian things. They say you're an intense energy, and if you're not living your passion, your energy will destroy you. Most
Oh
people,
yeah.
most people
Well,
suffer alcohol and addictions, and
yes, and people with those lines are known to fall into schizophrenia. There's even people that are, that are can be serial killers, have had those lines. And so there's a lot of cultures where they say, whoa, those are the lines of evil. But what is evil? Evil is a
yeah,
mentality that a human creates,
yeah,
and to me, I don't believe in evil. And people are like, well, how can you not believe in evil? Well, I believe it's a mental consciousness in motion in our Middle Earth. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It doesn't exist in the higher planes of existence. It only exists when we're feeling like crap, or if we're experiencing something. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't,
yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah, yeah. I'm definitely. I know your mood and stuff like that, because I do have lots of energy or lots of fire. That being in a bad mood, or being, but then things start spiraling in bad ways, you gotta be careful who you get angry at and stuff.
For
Sometimes I've
me,
noticed that.
I am a beast. I mean,
Yeah,
I am probably one of the scariest people ever. If I go into that place, I go into beast mode. And sometimes we all go into those places. It depends on what happens in life, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
It is our protection. It arises. I use it as a tool now, because now I know that that aspect of me that's protecting me is giving me a message. And now I take that on as a challenge to get what I want.
yeah. You use it to your advantage, or use the powers for good.
Yeah. Just like fear. Fear wouldn't exist if whatever the fear is about isn't important. It's only
Yeah,
speaking because it's important. So I learned that if I had fear, I would take it on and jump right in. I was like, yeah, I celebrated a fear. And I still do that. If I feel a fear about something, then I know it's of importance.
yeah, yeah. That's how I like to face things like that too. Is that I've learned, I think, a lot through mining and stuff like that, because it's a lot of it mind over matter. And when you're young and when you're starting it, it's really scary and really intense. And that's how I've learned to just grab meet the beast right on whatever you're fearing, and get in there, and then you get over it. And it's, they
And it
say,
gives you a gift.
yeah, the
We
other
all
side of fear
we
is
all
everything's a dream.
experience the fear of speaking. Every single
Right.
one of us. Some people are able to break through that and now can say whatever they want whenever they want, but
Yeah.
some people never can, right? All of our abilities, our five senses, have to go through a certain period of growth and breaking fears in every way. Being fearful of seeing something scary is not going to help your psychic clairvoyance, right? The
Yeah.
first thing you're going to see is something that you don't like. Every time I go to a haunted house, I'm like fearful, right? Like, I don't know what I'm going to see. And I hate the feeling of something just dumping at you. That is the worst, even though I love that feeling at the same time. But my secret is send everyone in first. They don't need to know I'm freaked out. Let
Yeah.
them go in.
Yeah. That's a good one. I've noticed that before with,
Yeah.
like, if you are on a psychedelic experience, and you start seeing something intense, and you're seeing something you think is scary, like a dragon or a snake or whatever. And you used to get scared, and then I'd be like, no, like, let's see, yeah, you want to show me that? You want to show me something? Let's go, let's see, like that. And then it just goes away. And then
Yeah.
as soon as you face it, it
As
kind of
soon as
just
you open
dissolves.
yourself up to the experience,
Yeah.
and the thing is so many people feel like getting in control is like the power, but it's not.
Yeah. It's
You don't
letting
want
go.
to have control in every way. It's letting go, right?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, was that real? I just saw, something flying in the sky. Well, instead of hiding and worry that they're going to abduct you, you wouldn't know if you got abducted anyway. You
Yeah.
know, you could have went missing for a week. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Right? Be open to it. You
Yeah.
know, the if you aren't sitting there with negative intentions, you have nothing to fear.
Well, that's
And
good
I
to know.
feel just like the the society has put all those shells on us, they also put fears into spiritual things, you
Oh, for
know?
sure. Or make you feel stupid or crazy or embarrassed or yeah,
Yeah,
stigmas on lots of those things. And that's exactly why I'm getting into this podcasting. I think this is my passion and my interest and stuff. And it's letting all the freaks out of the closet. Everybody get out and tell their ghost stories and alien stories and their
exactly.
theories and philosophies. And I think you find there's probably way more similarities with people than differences, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's got a ghost story or a Sasquatch story, or especially on Vancouver Island.
Oh my gosh, I have amazing Sasquatch stories. Um, but the thing is the universe, it's not hiding.
No,
Okay. You know, the everything that exists, that wants to be seen, it's us that needs to connect. Some people have the mentality, I see it so many times in some of my students when they first appear, it's like, well, I'd love to believe in spirits, but if they want me to believe, they're gonna have to show themselves to me. And it's like, who are you?
yeah,
The universe has nothing to prove to you. Why don't you just be open to the experience and let the universe connect with you on how it wants to connect with you?
yeah,
You
you're not
know?
calling the shots.
Yeah. And
Yep,
most of the time, our awakening happens when we are at our lowest point, or we're in a state of trauma. Then all of a sudden, our light bulb goes off to get us out of our hole. But it can happen every day. And I tell my students, every day you're meant to seek bliss. There is a
yeah,
message. Well, maybe it's a deer. Maybe all of a sudden, something happens or you experience a miracle. Every day, our spirits the universe wants what we want. Actually, what we want is still very limited to the potential of what the spirit in the universe wants for us.
right. But you just have
And
to
it's
be open to
actually
it.
known. Yeah. And it's actually known scientifically that the chemicals in our brain is actually connected to 9 generations of our bloodline. So when we go into different states, whether it's a meditative state or we're doing some kind of drugs to induce the state, we are activating that knowledge within us. And I firmly believe that if you do your DNA test and get your DNA and figure out all that stuff, then that's your bloodline, but it's also your past life journey.
Right. Like a DNA memory, like a cellular memory.
So we can have visions of an ancestor that's 5 generations down that had a superpower, which may be you today.
Right. Yeah, I've done a past life regression, but just also in my dreams, I've seemed to time travel, be in towns and places that I've never been before. They're definitely Europe somewhere, probably, I've seen lots of really crazy things like that before. And in my past life regression, I was like in this like almost like Hobbit house with stone and this and that, and there was like this wizard dude in there. I was a woman, and I kept seeing the lady kept telling me what happened to her, what happened, kept asking me how she died, and this and I was like, all I could see was a lotus, like a big blue lotus. I could see this girl, like I was
Peacefully.
a woman, and this blue lotus, and this elderly man in there with me and everything. And I was like, I can't really get that how she died or this or that, but I could definitely see where she lived and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was pretty neat, pretty
So
intense.
that definitely would be a past life thing, And when we go through initiations or rites of passage with our own spirituality, and that's the one thing I believe. I believe that it doesn't matter if it's, believe in what you want, but I believe that everyone's got their own religion or spirit, right? I don't believe you should follow a sect way. You know, some people do that because they like the community, they need that. But for me, I believe that everybody's spirituality is different. And that is a huge power. And I do believe that every religion should exist. You know, I do believe it's kind of like the cycle of life
Of
in a
course, yeah.
way, right? But I feel like our past lives, you got to think when you are walking your life and all you're doing is creating a good life for yourself, certain past life powers want to awaken within you.
Okay, yeah, they're locked in, like you said, locked in your cellular memory in your DNA. The nine
Yeah.
generations back, you figure. So it'd probably go all the way back, I would think.
So from your dream, I would have taken from it, yeah, for sure, right from the beginning of our DNA. So
Yeah.
I would have taken that lotus as, okay, there's a message in the lotus.
Yeah.
Lotus represents peace. So she
Okay.
would have died peacefully, probably in her sleep, because magically lotus is used for sleeping well, inducing dreams and prophecy.
Didn't they used to put it in wine?
Yeah, and they would drink it
Yeah.
to
There's some-
produce visions. So I feel that that message would have been to stay open to visions coming your way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever done past life regressions yourself, or?
Well, Brett, that's what Brett does, past life regressions as a service. And I have. And I believe that I have received certain powers because of it, tapping into those things. But, you know, I teach past life regression, but once a year I do a past life magic mirror night. And it's so cool because you can see it. I could look at you and see past life doing this with my magic mirror. And when
cool.
Brett and I first did our first past life experience together, he saw me as like a geisha almost, but differently.
Okay.
And I found out through my DNA testing that I actually have Mongol. And when we realized that I had Mongol in me, it totally made sense with that era and how they dressed back then.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I remember when I was young, I was fascinated with it since I was young because my mom and my grandma and my aunties did it, and just hearing them describe their experiences, how intense they were. My grandma was a little native girl peeking in a fort, like trying
I
to.
remember your grandma. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
loved her store. Such amazing spirit. Both your grandma and grandpa.
Oh yeah, but grandpa's well, grandma
Such
just passed
genuine.
away.
Like, take a look.
Grandma just passed away in the last year.
I'm
but-
sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's okay. It was her time to go. She'd been with Alzheimer's. She's been kind of gone for quite a while, so it was kind of a relief, if anything. But very sweet and genuine, kind person. And then as
Yeah.
well as my grandfather, but he's got all these psychic abilities that he's, I don't know, aware of or whatever. Like he'd always pass out after dinner. He'd lie down on the couch, and we'd all laugh. And he puts his arm up. He'd be totally asleep, and then his arm would spring up.
But it'd be like this.
We would laugh and laugh at him, but we realized every time after he did that, because he didn't do it all the time, but a lot of the time, that's when he would go astro traveling. He'd go, oh, my friends showed up, and we went out of the roof of the store, and we were flying through space or going all over the world, and we figured it out. It was every time his arm stuck. It would stick
That's
straight up,
amazing.
and he would go off flying. So we'd be sitting there watching hockey or whatever, and his arm would spring up, and we go, oh, there he goes with his friends. He's off traveling the cosmos.
Let him fly. He'll fly home. That's cool. Hey, I would love to do that with my broom flying. It's all of a sudden, raise the broom and I'm off.
Yeah. Gonzo.
There was one lady, Brett did one of his past life classes because he used to do meditation classes at the shop. But there was one time this lady went in to they did a past life regression. She came out of it. and she was talking about how she was in like Germany during the war, and she was sitting at the back of the Jeep, and it was, you know, the whole Hitler thing going on, right? Well, she tells us about that experience, nothing crazy. She comes back the next week for meditation class, and she says, you know what? She goes, after last week's meditation, she goes, I can understand German. She said, I can't speak it, but whenever people talk German, I'm hearing it in English. And she still experiences that to this day. And I guarantee you, she was German in a past life and brought that forward. So we can gain knowledge.
That's crazy. Like if you could learn to access that.
I know.
Yeah, if you could tap into that, you'd be, yeah, to have the knowledge of the last 9 or the last, or all the way down your lineage to be able to open that up. I'm pretty sure we probably can. We've just, it's magic, forgotten or suppressed on purpose, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's neat. I got to, I think I'm gonna have to wrap her up. I got to head off to camp for the night shift and for 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, have a good 2 weeks. Thank you for having me.
Can we tell people where we could find you, your Facebook, your any other groups or things you have? I'm going to post them in the show notes too.
Awesome.
On
Thank
YouTube.
you.
But tell people right now where they could find you.
So on Facebook, you can find me East Coast Mystic, and I always post different things, all my classes. I also have a YouTube channel. It's under Georgina Gibson. You'll see my East Coast Mystic thing, and I put free classes on there, information, things that I find pretty interesting on there. I also have a full website, so if you're into magical stuff, ancient, Egyptian, aliens, anything, I have over 6,000 products. So shop online at www.eastcoastmystic.com. And right now I have over 10 books published, and I have a whole bunch more that I'm publishing, so you might find some of those things interesting.
You have 10 books. Holy cow, we only talked about 3. I thought you only 3.
I know. We'll have to talk again.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can make it a regular thing. And folks can find me. I now have a Facebook under Perakee, and we have a Patreon under Perakee too, which they'll start being different accesses and discords and stuff like that. I don't know, my son's really pushing me on making this a business and stuff like that. He's really excited that this is going to be big and a business for us. So yeah, if you pay like $5 a month.
Oh, big for him too.
Yeah, oh, he loves this stuff. He does all my editing because he's really into the video games. He does the Twitch and all that, and he's making money off playing video games with his friends and putting it online. It's a brave new world, a strange world that I'm opening up to. It's really cool.
I know, but I think it brings us a wallflowers out.
Yeah, well, all of us freaks can connect.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
We have a whole
over the world.
Kingdom.
As each person awakens, it changes the things, you know, everything.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you for coming on. We'll have to do this again, maybe talk about the other 7 books.
That's right.
All right.
Many blessings to you. Have a great 2 weeks and stay in touch.
Yeah, 2 weeks of fun in the sun, or not so much. Have a good one.
I love work. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.